to travel fast.
Yeah, I mean, how fast do you think it was coming after you? Did it seem just like ridiculously fast, like a movie, or was it kind of just?
Well, put it this way, it could have caught us at any time. I can tell you that, because we're just two guys out of shape, running scared on a drum. This thing, when I turned around those couple of times and saw it running, it scared me. That scared me more than anything. I've never seen anything like that. I mean, run like that, look like that, smell like that. I will never, to this day, forget the stench of what I smelled.
What do you think about where that smell kind of came from or emanated from? What's your opinion about that?
I have no idea. I have never, I don't know if it's glands or I don't know what it is, but I can tell you it smelled like a combination of really strong urine, musk, and something else because, it was cold yet. And where you could see your breath, but, I tried not to breathe in my nose because it was burning my nose when I was trying to breathe. So I started breathing through my mouth, and it burnt my throat. That's how pungent it was. That's how strong that smell was, where it could actually burn your throat.
Yeah, it's almost like a pepper spray kind of reaction, It's like something so thick in that air. Yeah.
No, it was something I never, and hope never do encountered. Are you getting any double feedback when I'm talking? Because I'm hearing myself talk.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm on a landline.
Now, that's the trouble with Skype. Sometimes the Skype line can be bad, and then you get some weird things. Now, again, I will say this. I've had people say that they went, a little quick story, and then we get into you. I talked to this guy one time who went out to look for Bigfoot, and they were banging against a tree. And he was so excited he would hear a tree slap back. So they would do it again, and then a minute later, they would hear it again. And they were so excited, they were positive that it was a Bigfoot. So they were going up this trail, and then on their way back, they ran into another couple people, and they were saying they were out looking for Bigfoot, and they started talking. They go, yeah, we were slapping the tree, and it would slap back. And then they started looking at, well, what time were you slapping the tree approximately? Oh, such and such time. They realized they were slapping their trees back and forth to each other.
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
Well, I think it would be upsetting. How often have you gone out looking for Bigfoot? And tell us what you do with your research on Bigfoot.
Yeah, I think, I kind of have two different approaches these days, whether it's daytime or nighttime. And I've kind of revised my approach over the years, kind of improving my odds of having some kind of, getting some kind of evidence or what I think might be evidence, like tree knocks or calls or things like that. So if it's in the daytime, excuse me, I'll go out in the daytime, sometimes by myself. I won't go out at night by myself, but we'll look for the tree structures. That's, to me, in my opinion, that's evidence that they're in an area. You know how, like you said, when it got to the end of the road when you guys were getting in your car, it bent the tree over, no problem. So there's different tree structures that I look for. Even driving around, I can see them from the road pretty easily, or what I think they are. So if I'm going to a new area, that's what I'll do. I'll drive around, or we'll get out and hike and just look for these structures. Sometimes trees are bent over, cracked like live trees, and twisted. Ones that didn't appear to be occurring naturally. Maybe ones that are too big for any person to break, things like that. There's some that are pinned over in an arch shape that are pretty easily visible from the road. There's teepees and little teepees and just other odd things, So that's what I'm looking for in daytime, hikes, if I go off the trail or things like that. And I'll tell you, I don't really have to go that far to do this. I can, within my house, like within 5, 10, 15 miles of my house, I can find this stuff. Western Pennsylvania, we're in the country, but we're not that far away. There's houses around here, but there's a lot of big patches of land, to find these things. I've had a lot of success, but at night, I sometimes I'll walk around at night, but usually we'll kind of go to a spot and just stay there. Just walk to a spot and stand there, hang out, and just look through. I have thermal and night vision and things like that, and an audio recorder, and we'll just hang out. And that's kind of my approach. I don't really go by myself, like I said, at night. I usually go with other people to be safe.
Well, yeah, there's not just Bigfoot you have to worry about. I mean, regardless of where you live. That's what amazes me. I get some people, oh, yeah, I go out looking for Bigfoot. Well, do you pack a weapon? No. I carry a 3-inch pocket knife, and I go, well, what happens if a cougar, depending on where you live, or a mountain lion, or a bear decides they want you? Is that going to protect you? Now, do you take anything for protection?
Oh, yeah, I always do, whether it's a gun or a big knife, or I have bear spray. I have all kinds of things that will hopefully keep me safe. Just recently, a few weeks ago, me and my buddy, we went to a place called Derry, PA, on the Chestnut Ridge, and it's really a well-known historical place to see Bigfoot. And if you remind me, I could tell you a pretty good story from that same spot after this. But yeah, we went there just recently, me and my friend John Redchun, and we went at 2 in the morning, and we stayed till 8. And we actually walked this time. We hiked about 5 miles, and the reason we went to that spot, in addition to the historical sightings, was he had a sighting there about 10 years ago, and we did a documentary about him on our YouTube channel, which is pretty good because he's one of the best guys that's collected some of the best evidence, and I feel comfortable with him. Yeah, it was just him and I, and we went on a 5-mile hike, and it was snow. It was rough. But that night I didn't really bring my gun. Well, I did, but I had a big knife because we were walking through choke points and different close quarters areas where there could be a bear. There's bears there, so yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, the bears you have to watch out for.
Yep, but we actually found some hairs that night. I'm not sure if they were bear or Bigfoot or not, because we found hairs in that spot before on a broken tree structure that I described earlier. But it was fun, because we were out there for about 6 hours in the middle of the night in the cold, and I brought it home. I got a microscope, so I was messing around with it, looking at pictures of bear hairs and human hairs, and just trying to see if I could tell anything significant about it. But that was one of the last times that I went out a few weeks ago.
Now, a question, have you ever seen, now I've had some Bigfoot hunters claim, and they sent me pictures of like trees that have been pulled out of the ground and reversed where the roots were, where the tree branches would be. Have you run across anything like that?
Yeah, we did last year, about a year ago today. I did a short video on it on my channel, and you could see we were up on the top of this same spot on Derry Ridge, Chestnut Ridge, and the tree was it was like flipped over, and the roots were sticking up. There was no root ball. There was no hole in the ground. It was just hanging there, balanced off of these 2 other trees, just flipped upside down. It wasn't the biggest tree, but there was just no reason for it to be there, So yeah, I have seen stuff like that.
I wonder if they do that to mark their territory.
I would agree. I think so, because it's pretty obvious. I mean, if you're not looking for that kind of stuff, you might just walk right past it. But we weren't on the trail, we were kind of deep in there. But I'm looking for that kind of stuff, so I saw it,
Yeah, I've seen some pictures out in the middle of the forest, where the trees were literally pulled out of the ground. And we're talking trees like 25-foot, 30-foot high trees, reversed and then crammed back into the ground. And it was like, wow, what could do that? I mean, you're not going to get an excavator out there, and I don't think a couple strong guys could do it. And to me, it's like they are maybe marking their territory. This is my territory. You come past it, then we got a problem.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it definitely has some meaning. I mean, I don't know why else you would do that, whether it's this, I won't speculate the meaning, but I would agree. Yeah.
So how's your wife take it, you going out and doing these, looking for encounters of Bigfoot? And have you ever decided what you're going to do if one of these days you do go out and you do run across one?
Yeah, first question, my wife goes with me sometimes. Not all the time, but she you kind of get used to it. Depends on who I'm going with and where I'm going. If I'm going with a certain person, she's just like, okay, well, I'll see you tomorrow, and I'll show up, and then we'll go eat breakfast in the morning. But I give her a hug every time I leave. You never know what's going to happen, but she's not too worried about it. I've been doing it for a long time. I haven't had anything negative or threatening happen to me. Of course, that's just, maybe I'm just lucky or in the wrong place, or I'm not sure, but yeah, if something does happen, I kind of, my mindset is that, even with animals in my own yard, I try to train myself that if anything happens or I see something or hear something, I'm kind of in work mode, like I'm working to try to get the evidence, like film it or record it. Yeah. So that's like my first reaction is to do that.
Well, see, I wasn't prepared in my case, but what do you think of people? We had this one guy came on our show for a while as a regular. He claimed and James, you're out there, every time he would go out in the woods, he would see Bigfoot every single time.
Well, I mean, some people, you have to take it with a grain of salt. Maybe if you know that person more, you would know if they're being truthful. A lot of people make things up to get attention. I'm not saying that guy did, but I've seen things like that. And most of the time, I'm not out as much as some people. Some people are out every day, all the time. I try to balance work life, personal life, and Bigfoot because, I am doing Bigfoot quite a bit. So I'm lucky if I see things, 1, 2, or have things happen like tree knocks or anything like that.
Okay.
And most of the time I'm filming just regular animals, just because I like to watch animals. I like to be in nature, and it's good practice to try to get anything on camera because animals are, they're wary of us. If they hear us coming, they're going to hide and run and that. So if I see, from most people, if I look at their page or pictures and a lot of what they have is just normal stuff, then I think that's more believable than somebody that gets it every time.
Okay, well, we need to take a break for the stations, so we'll be back in about 2.5 minutes. So, George, I want that one story you were talking about that you might want to relay to us. Can you do that after we come back?
Yes, no problem.
Okay, we'll be back in 2.5 minutes. This is Gary on Night Dreams Talk Radio. Our guest tonight is George Workman, and we're going to be talking Bigfoot.
Reading history, I paused to take a sigh about the land Afghanistan, where empires go to die. Alexander the Great, he tried and failed. The Mongols, they did too. The British and the Russians, they got their ass kicked too. America's been there many years, and I ask myself why we don't learn from history, where empires go to die. They They say it's terrorism, that's political malarkey.